So I placed it there, and she understood from the movement, sound and smells that I did something like that, so she knows what it is, but of course she cannot see where it is. So now she's eating here, thinking that it might be where my voice is and my movement, and she does not know that it is behind her. So I will now open this again and provide her a little bit more hint, because she needs to orient herself based on sound. So come here. You see, she follows me. Come, there. And now she knows where it is. Combination of sound and smell. As a blind horse, the world is now different. But the good thing is, she has figured it out and is now not angry, not frightened. She has adapted, and that is why it is possible to leave her here overnight in this enclosed area, and there is still plenty of forage left, so there's no immediate need for a second space like this. And I hope I can find something, and Uncle will help me to put up a fence to create a similar space like this, and where there is forage. So that's the other thing. And I mentioned that the last time. So these areas here of her body, they are now getting filled a lot better. The belly is also full, so she's definitely getting a lot better than she was before. And of course the grass is a lot more nutritious than just a combination of straw and those pellets. Those pellets contain a lot of energy, but it's not all the body needs. And the combination of straw and that is just in summer when there's nothing else. But this is definitely a lot better. So good that we now have the rain and these things grow, despite the fact that in the morning, so this morning, our water partially got freezed in, and yeah, the problem now begins. And there's also something that we need to do, but you might see it when we do it. So let's now go over there and check out the area that I would like to provide to the horses. And what I can mention, as you see the pickup there, so this is a US made Ford F-150 full-size pickup, the type of vehicle that you will not find in Europe regularly. It has been imported back then to the Netherlands, and that is where I bought it used. And it is in dire need of some maintenance. Things that are not easy here in Spain. We managed to maintain it somehow, but a few things could not be done. The problem is Ford in Spain will not help, but Ford in Germany and in the Netherlands, they do. So, and you can also see it has still a Dutch license plate. It's the temporary plate that is used to transfer a car from one country to another, so that you license it then there. And my plan is soon to take this vehicle to Germany, to a Ford dealer who does maintenance on all the cars from the American bases that are there in Germany, so therefore they know, because it's the daily business. And when everything turns out well, Angel and I will then do a road trip. Angel will get to know France, and then we drive it back, and this will then have a German license plate. And being German, that makes it easy for me, so I will then be able to use it, have insurance and all that, and can drive it around Europe. In theory, one has to have a license plate of the country where one resides. Even in the European Union there is no EU license plate, but it depends where you reside. Not going into any details, so it depends on the individual circumstances. And I want to use this truck because it is very, very useful, and I did similar things while living in the US. I had a similar one there. So we will see. So now I'm going to open this, and then we get to explore this place there, and my hope is that I can close it up there so that the horses can graze in this area and not venture out too far. And also they need water, and we already have this system here. I just need to open a valve, and actually I can do this ahead of time. So here is that valve, and you heard the sound. So now this is fill itself out of this tank, which gets filled by the pump down at the outflow of the water reservoir. So we built this a little while ago, and it's a very handy system. It's all plastic, so when it freezes, hopefully it will survive, because it's a little bit flexible, and during the day it heats up enough, except a few days, so that it unfreezes again. And when that happens, well, there is enough in these waterers that the animals can still get a drink. And as soon as the sun comes out and shines on it, it will unfreeze, so that's not a big problem. And you can see there is a vulture. Those are beautiful creatures, hard to catch on camera. And you can see how this bird is flying. These are important because in extensive ranching, if an animal dies for whatever reason, then they feed on it, and they also have to live. They are the mop-up crew, and there are more creatures that have the same function in an ecosystem. It is very unfortunate that in some European countries people definitely have to recover any carcass from the field, any dead animal, by law. But it's good that here in Spain also the very same law applies. It only applies for the version of intensive farming and animal keeping, ranching, however you want to call it. So the animals in a barn. And for those out in the countryside like we are, these rules do not apply. So we can maintain the cycle of nature. Every single piece that is hanging here from the ceiling is accounted for individually. Nothing can escape. Each leg has a label with an identification number. Now Angel is taking one out to have a closer look. And here it is. You can see how yellow the fat is, and you can also notice how it has shrunk. Now the weight is significantly less than when it was fresh. When you start cutting the ham, it is important to keep this fat in order to close the cut surface again, so that it won't dry out. To get your own leg of ham, you can head over to our web shop and order some. There are two options for you to buy the ham. We offer envelopes with 100 grams of hand-sliced pieces of ham, and there is the full leg
In the case of a front leg, it's about 4 to 6 kilo each. Families in Spain keep the leg in the kitchen and everybody cuts off a slice whenever they are hungry.
Okay, so now I opened and went through, and now let's see what we have here. So this area used to be the place where we put some spent straw a few times. There are still some acorns left because there were no pigs here to eat them. And this is also the area where plants show up very, very soon. A lot of clover here lately, but now there's also this one here. And this is supposed to be the animal lane, which also means that it gets a concentration of nutrients because they shit while walking, or they used to. And the area looks very nice. And here there's a gate that I want to open, and there on the other side you can see the 3 horses. Slowly the whole area where they have been grazing is now ready to put to rest so that the plants can continue growing. And my plan is to open this and let them graze here. But I need to make a few modifications. You can see that we have an energizer here. It's currently turned off. And this is one that has remote control, so I can turn it on and off from the distance. It is off, despite the fact that you see it blinking. So the fence is not energized, but with the remote control I could activate it. And the battery is likely full because it's not being used. Here in this particular spot, a few pigs uprooted, and apparently that did some good thing. And this wire, as you can see, is now in strange shape, and there's the tree that fell on it. So I need to remove this wire at best. What I'm a bit worried about is pieces like that. And that is one of the reasons why I don't want the blind Sacagewea in here without further precautions, because this might turn out to be a deadly trap. And there is another one and the third one. When they are as low as this one, it is not so bad, but this definitely is a deadly trap. So these need to be pulled out. If it is not possible to do this by hand, let me try. No, it's pretty impossible. So that requires the backhoe. And the backhoe is out of service at the moment because one of the hydraulic lines had a leak, and Angel has it at home, and it will soon be taken to a shop and replacement will be created. And then we are back in business. This place here is where we had some spent straw, and it was thought to be used to fill in a trench, a swale. There was the idea to put this, but then the cows were hungry and they ate it. Then I removed most of the baling wire, but I can see that I missed one. So there. And there is another one. And I can pull it out. Yeah. That was an easy task. So let's keep it here, and when I go back I can then take it out completely. So if I had a chainsaw, then I would now chop this up, but I don't. Most people here don't have a chainsaw. And when they do, then they use it to sell firewood, because they do pruning of the trees and then chop them up, or use cases like this and then they sell it. I have a long list of big and small tools that we now in this new phase want to use, so that a single person can do a lot of things and only requires the other person here and there to hold on to something. So you can see that these wires, they have been rolled up, and there we have another branch that has been fallen down. They look in bad shape. So someone mentioned that this might be because of their weight. Yeah, certainly, plus the wind. But a healthy tree will not meet the same fate. Yeah, and the same fate. And yeah, so these fence posts are okay. It looks like back then we set them in a little bit of concrete, but they still can be pulled out or maybe used again, so we will see. The thing is, here we also want to plant some palovnia trees and build a new forest. So this whole area will then be restructured. It's not going to be paddocks C1 to C4. So this, what you see, has been C4. This whole area is probably almost 2 hectares in size. And it has the animal lane loop around like that. It goes into that valley and then follows the fence to the neighbor and then shows up again there on the other side. So what I'm trying to investigate is what's the easiest way to close this with minimal effort. And my thought is to just close the animal lane here where it's narrow. There, it was where it goes to the left. As you can see, there's nobody grazing, but there's not much growing here. So we had a lot of rain, but here in this case, as the soil is sandy and compacted, it did not do a lot of good things. Down there, it is a lot better, because in the past material got washed down towards that lower area, and there it is more nutritious. This area here has seen a lot of straw and also manure, so it is a lot better than it used to be, but from a grazer's perspective, there's nothing to eat here. So a lot more needs to happen. But it is treeless, the immediate vicinity of where I'm standing, and this is perfect to plant new trees, and then this area will definitely change. So here is a fence post that I can use. So the only thing I have to do, let me take this piece and kind of simulate it. Might even be long enough. Let's see. Well, it is pretty long. So what I have to do is basically just that. I hate this. That stuff is lying around. But we talked about this. So basically, well, looks like I am able to even finish the job. So let me put this in here. And now I go here And yeah, for the horses that will do it. So let me do this off camera. And now the job is already done. The good thing about horses is they don't need an electric fence. They will respect some sort of a barrier. Of course, they have learned that this can hurt and are not eager to try it again. So therefore, they will not push against this for no good reason. And there is no good reason, because there on the other side there is no forage that they can immediately see. And over there it's just the same. So they will happily stay here and use that. And with the seeing horses, there is also not a problem with the traps that I showed you. The only thing that I want to do is just to add a little bit of a sign. Here is a barrier, so let me put this in here. Helps also to spread this out a bit. So maybe there. If it wants to go in there, I guess I have to do this off camera again. So, with two hands it is a lot easier to manage. So now we have a barrier here, and it works for seeing horses. And blind ones will not be here. I leave this one in place because this is where that wire ends. That wire used to connect the fence line to the other side to provide electricity to the part over there. So there is this pipe to protect the cable going underneath that animal pathway. And I guess in the future we will resurrect this. So now that I already achieved what I wanted, there is only the task left to allow them in. And then they can stay here for a while and add their manure. And it's going to be the first time that the horses will be here. So the different type of manure that then definitely benefit this area. And we will see where they drop it. And my hope is that once palovnia trees can be planted, we will be able to do this here. There are a few areas around the farmyard. Keep in mind that we want to do this in circles around the farmyard so that everything gets beautiful from the inside out. This, by the way, has to be wheat, because the straw is from wheat and there's always some seed in it. Of course, this will now be eaten, but it's okay. So in circles, so that it is nicer, keeps up the motivation, and also irrigation and nutrient cycling and all that is a lot easier, or does work, when you do it that way. So you basically push the bad part outwards, and on the inside things get better and better. And it helps also with the water management, because once you have a dense forest, then of course it has a microclimate. And in our case, the condensation during the early morning is very important. So we had no rain since the last time I mentioned that in a video. And the condensation keeps everything alive and growing. Now, forecast for next week talks about rain, we will see. But you need to have a lot of leaf surface so that things work. By the way, there are some mushrooms. I have no idea whether these are the edible types. I believe so, but I would not trust me. So I am not foraging on mushrooms that I find. I will not eat them. I eat mushrooms when they are from a very clear origin. So this is another thing that bugs me. This is the lid from this water reservoir, from this tank there, and I guess I will now screw it on as it is supposed to be. But let me drag it first there, and I see the horses over there. They saw that something is going on here, so let me place it here. Again, not the best way to do this with one hand. So looks like somebody figured out that something is going to happen. So let me open this, and now I need to get out the key, and then I can open that one here. Of course this is all destroyed, as you can see, but I don't want to push them against a string and make them bow down. I rather open this gate. But again, I should probably do this off camera. No tripod, but I found a place where I can put the camera. Könnte hingehen. Muss Hallo sagen. Na? Komm. Ha? Traust du dich das? Da drunter? Ja? Komm. Ganz gut. Ja, komm. Komm. Well, they seem to know, but they have their doubts. So let me open another path, just in case. So I should have brought a lead line, and it did not work, but they went under the fence without any problem. But it's the thing, they don't understand what you say. But maybe seeing me here will now change the thing. Come. So as you could see, the first one figured this out. I am not going to get a lead line. But I can move you to a better location. So I'm going to provide an incentive. Kom maar. Kom maar hier. Huh? Kom, daarheen. Mädel. Kom. Kom. Na los. Kom. Nein. Nein. Dahin. Komm. 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 Komm her. Komm her. Komm her. Komm her. Sonst müssen wir das doch machen. Na, Solo. Oh. Was verkehrt? Aha. Gut. So. Und, Librada? Siehst du das auch? Aha. As you can see, it can be very easy once they understand. Horses are smart. Don't underestimate. So, with that, the job is done and I can now close this. And now we have the 3 horses here and they are happy because there's a lot of new forage. So, mission accomplished. And if someone thinks you are training them to run against the fence, yes, I thought about that. But then going underneath something is what a horse knows. And they can even do that with a rider on. At least Tuscarora is able to do this because it has been part of her training. And the blind Sacagewea also is like that. So with both of them you can open gates and do work without getting off the saddle. Librada is a project. So if one of you has experience in natural horsemanship and would like to spend some time here, there is your project. I would love to provide this opportunity both to the human as well as to the horse. So open for suggestions. Let me know when you're gonna come. So that should be it. And I have to admit that I am already sweating. So let me turn this thing around and show you something. So this is how I am clothed. And here in the sun, with a little bit of walking around, this is already too much. That sun is extremely powerful. And remember, in the beginning of this video I said water pipe was already freezing. that is in the night. That thing up there, this provides a lot of energy. And it is very common here in this area to have a day-night difference of 20 centigrades. So this is an extreme climate. I couldn't believe it in the beginning. And of course it also creates a lot of stress on the plants.